Alrighty guys, welcome back to the Lush Gaming YouTube channel. Furdog here bringing you some kind of unorthodox content for us. So today we're actually going to be looking at some old hardware, one that's near and dear to my heart. So we're going to be looking at the Fx8350. This is actually the one that's in my personal rig, so I kind of felt like, why not make a video about it? I mean, you already own the CPU and everything else. You're using it daily, so why not? You'd be the best person to reference for this kind of question. So today, really, we're just going to be looking at how capable this processor is in 2020, and is it still worth getting? If you own it, is it worth holding on to, or is it time to finally upgrade? So for our gauntlet of challenges we're going to be throwing at this thing today, we're going to be throwing in a good mix of games, a couple of newer titles, a couple of older titles, and then just a couple of programs that I use, such as handbrake, and then Cinebench as well. You always have to throw Cinebench in, it seems like. That'll just give us a good indication of, multi-core performance, see where this thing kind of racks up. But yeah, lastly, before we start getting into some of the gameplay and whatnot, all the video that you're seeing in this, all the gameplay you're seeing in this video, and this video itself was completely shot and rendered with this rig. So I edited all this, I recorded all this, all with my personal rig. Second point, this is an overclocked FX processor. It's overclocked to 4.8 gigahertz. If you own one of these, or if you've read anything about these online, then you know that these processors overclock really well. And if you have one and you haven't overclocked it, especially in 2020, do it. You're basically going to get the last legs of performance out of this thing by doing that. And these are incredibly easy chips to overclock. You don't really have to worry much about killing them. They can handle a crazy amount of voltage. Really the biggest thing is just going to be keeping them cool. So yeah, last system spec though is running a XFX RX 480 8GB graphics card. So nothing crazy, not by any means of that, but yeah, if you're running one of these things, you're not running a Vega 64, 1080 Ti, 2080 Ti. You're not going to be running anything like that with these most likely. So yeah, so let's take a look today and pull up some charts and some gameplay and just see what this thing is capable of doing in 2020 and see if this thing is still worth owning. I'm a little bit nervous. Let's find out, guys. Alrighty, so the first thing I wanted to show you guys is going to be the Cinebench score for this thing. So we got a 729, so that's a kind of a good indication of what the multi-core performance on this chip is going to be like. Keep in mind this thing is pretty heavily overclocked, so this is going to be about the best you're going to get out of it. So overall, not great, not terrible as well. So yeah. Alrighty, and just kind of a last thing I wanted to add in real quick before we show the charts here. All the gameplay footages, for whatever reason, they're getting kind of laggy. So if you guys seen any kind of stuttering or whatnot, I promise you guys it's not actual what I'm experiencing in game. It seems to be something with the recording software. I've tried both Radeon overlay and OBS, and both ways I'm getting kind of weird stuttering every once in a while. So yeah. There is one game where I do get some stuttering, but we'll kind of delve further into that when we get towards the end of this video. So yeah, everything else though that you've seen with any kind of minor stuttering, it's more so the recording software than anything. So apologies, tried everything I couldn't find a workaround. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Alright, so if we start looking into games here, we can see just about every game averages about 60 frames per second or so. The big thing to look though is your 1% lows. So you can see here there's a couple games where she dips down pretty low, and sometimes not even the fact that it's low, but the variances between your average frame and the lowest frame is pretty big. One of the big ones here would be Division 2, and I can tell you guys right now that although it's playable and it runs pretty good, unless you turn down some settings, you're gonna get some pretty big dips here and there. But as we can see, Doom, that pretty much runs on a potato. That has no problems at all running on here. But yeah, overall, you're going to be getting 60 frames on just about any kind of game, whether it's a brand new game or an older game, And if you're comfortable with turning down some settings, it's going to be no problem. Well, guys, as you guys saw in the charts and some gameplay footage there. It's definitely still a capable gaming processor. So I mean, if that's your main concern when looking at one of these things, yeah, it can definitely do it. And I mean, paired with a budget graphics card, it's, it's not a bad rig overall. Obviously, power draw and whatnot is a completely different topic, but where I live anyways, power is incredibly cheap. So whatever the 10 extra cents I pay over a year is kind of mute. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, this isn't going to be a 144 hertz gaming machine. It's just not capable of doing that anymore. But 60 frames, even in some newer titles, are definitely possible. And if you're comfortable with turning down some of the more CPU parts of the graphical settings, then it's definitely still powerful enough to run most games, I guess I'd say. And then, like I kind of alluded to earlier, with some of the stuttering stuff, I'm not sure if that's just the recording software that I'm seeing or if it's when I'm editing it. So might not even pop up at all on YouTube by the time you guys watch that this video. So who knows there. But yeah, now we kind of get in towards the end of this video, and one thing to kind of keep in mind is if you're looking at a system that has one of these, don't be afraid to shoot them an offer. And is this processor worth it in 2020? Well, that kind of depends. Right now, Ryzen processors have literally never been cheaper, and that trend's probably only going to continue. So I mean, if you're looking at building one of these, brand new, absolutely not worth it. Nobody in their right mind would recommend you to do that. But say someone was selling one secondhand, you don't have a whole lot of money. Let's just say you kind of have a choice between something along these lines and a console, whether it's a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. And a lot of your friends play PC, you want to get into PC gaming, then I could see it not being a bad idea. Granted, there's a lot of stipulations with that. I would say, it wouldn't really necessarily be worth it unless you're buying, the motherboard, CPU, RAM combo for probably like $50-$60. Because, I mean, otherwise, unless you're getting, a graphics card and whatnot included, I couldn't imagine anyone spending over $80-$90 for one of these processors, especially considering the AF series or the AF SKU of Ryzen is so incredibly cheap right now online. So I mean, anywhere from $75 to $90 is where I've seen it on Amazon. So, and if you have a Micro Center nearby, then what are you even doing watching this video? But yeah, I would say if you're looking to get into PC gaming, it's not a terrible investment. The real downside, though, is that AM3 Plus is a dead platform, and there's no real direct upgrade path versus going with a Ryzen processor right now. Sky's the limit. You get a decent quality X470 or B450, B350 even motherboard. Chances are you're going to be able to plop down a third-gen processor in that bad boy eventually. And I think that's kind of in the mindset of a lot of people when they're going to get these Ryzen processors, is that eventually they're going to be upgrading. So yeah, a lot of things to keep in your mind. But yeah, I would say overall, I would say the Fx8350 and the 8000 series and 9000 series in general from FX is not quite dead yet. I would say it's still capable of gaming and doing some rendering. I didn't really have a whole lot of problems rendering this video with this rig, besides some hiccups and some issues with scrubbing. Obviously, scrubbing speed is going to be a little slower. This thing doesn't have a huge amount of cache or a huge amount of IPC in order to process that. But yeah, as I've shown, though, I think that we can all agree that it is still, available and powerful enough to game and all that good stuff. And if you can get one for cheap enough, I would say it's worth it. But recommending building one today in 2020, I would say absolutely not. But yeah, that's probably going to be about it for this video. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. I spent a good portion of a whole entire day making this video, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And if you like it enough, maybe we can do some more videos on some older tech or newer tech even. Granted, I'm just kind of the grandpa of our group here with the old FX system here, so yeah. If you guys still have an FX system, though, let me know in the comments and what you use it for and how you think it does. Alrighty, guys, have a good one. Bye.